calm before the storm. A rare and welcome respite from endless battle awaits Jedi Knights Anakin Skywalker and Mace Windu as they travel through deep space aboard the Jedi cruiser Endurance. Preparing to rendezvous with a Republic frigate, the Jedi remain unaware of a deadly peril lying hidden in their midst.
Oh, greetings, Bucketheads! Mayvar Tigar? Welcome to the 88th Mace Windu murdering episode of Mandovision. Nargai Tom, and thank you so much for checking out this small, independent Star Wars podcast. Please remember the best way to reach out to us is, of course, via social media at Mando_Vision on Twitter and Instagram. You can email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Hey, we also have a Facebook page up and running if anyone's still doing Facebook, so consider that an option as well, alright? Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share this show with all the other Mandalorians in your covert, and if possible or so inclined, and even remotely interested, please give us those sweet 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. They are a great way to help support the show, help spread the word about the show, about the good work we're doing over here on the Mandovision podcast, and they're really helpful just for all small independent podcasts like us to stand out and not get lost in the shuffle, and we thank you so much in advance for that. Alright, we got a big one today. I'm really excited for this one. I hope you are as well. If you're keeping track, you know what episode we're on. I mean, spoilers, it was probably in your podcast feeder. You already know what episode we're doing today. But yeah, it's Season 2, Episode 20, Death Trap. That's right, original air date April 23rd, 2010, and our plot. Ooh, baby. Determined to have his revenge on Mace Windu, Boba Fett infiltrates the Jedi cruiser Endurance as part of a group of young clone cadets. Yeah, it's that. And this is an episode that I am a big fan of, and I can't wait to talk to you more about it. Again, we're getting back into like the heart of the Mandovision podcast. You know, we want to be talking about Boba Fett and Jango Fett, and anything that has to do with Mandalore. And that's kind of what got us all together here on Mandovision, right? So getting back to the being fans of the Fett that we are, and getting to see Boba post Attack of the Clones, post the Battle of Geonosis, this is good stuff, and I'm really, really, really excited to talk about it. This week's episode is directed by Stuart Lee, written by Doug Petrie, with, of course, Drew Z. Greenberg overseeing, and our cast. Matt Lanter is Anakin Skywalker. Daniel Logan returns to be Boba Fett and the Clone Cadets. D. Bradley Baker is the Clone Troopers and Clone Cadet Jax. Terrence T.C. Carson returns as Mace Windu. Jamie King is Aurra Singh. Julian Holloway is Admiral Killian. And Tom Kane is our narrator. This week's Jedi Fortune Cookie: who my father was matters less than my memory of him. And yeah, that's it. It's Boba Fett returns. Let's get into this. I'm flipping out. I don't know. Did you all have a chance to rewatch the episode already, or we watch it after we talk about it? I don't know. I don't know what you have in mind, but yeah, this one it's intriguing. There's a lot of kind of subtlety to this one. There's a lot of nuance to some of the things occurring on the screen, and we're going to talk a little bit about it, especially one of these scenes right at the very beginning that I'm very interested to get your opinions on, and maybe present something to you that maybe you hadn't considered yet. But y'all are a smart, savvy audience, so you probably already have. Everyone I talk to in the Star Wars community is way, way smart, and way, way smarter than me. So that's even the most important thing. They're probably like, yeah, Dodo Bird, we noticed that too. Don't worry. And that's all good. All right, you know what time it is. You know what's going to have to happen now. It's the most important part of the show. It's time. Strap on your buckets. Let's go.
War does not come with a guarantee. No soldier gets the promise of safety, survival, or victory. But men, I guarantee you this. Every member of this Clone Youth Brigade will have his moment. And it is that moment when you are no longer a cadet. You are a soldier. You have the best training in the galaxy, but no one can train you for the moment you look death in the eyes. What you do then, and the soldier you become, that is up to you.
There we see our young Boba Fett, the man who will become the masked man. And again, this is a really interesting idea. I thought this was a really neat way to bring Boba Fett back into the Clone Wars saga by having him infiltrate a group of clone cadets. He's about the age. He's obviously going to look the same. He's in the right age bracket apparently. And yeah, I thought this was a neat way for him to start becoming the character that we know and love so much, and that we're actually going to get to know more, even more, with his show coming up in December. It's a really exciting time to be a Boba Fett fan because, as I've talked about before on the podcast, a lot of stuff has sort of been, a lot of Boba Fett's lore has been pushed into Legends, the Legends banner. It's no longer counts. So Boba Fett's getting a new mythology a bit written about him as we speak. There's new material coming out. Obviously, the new show. If you're reading the comic books, you can be reading the War of the Bounty Hunters right now, which is a very Boba Fett-driven story as he attempts to find those who stole the carbonite frozen body of Han Solo and stole it from him. So there's a lot going on with Boba Fett in the expanded universe, if you will. And so it's a good time to be a Boba Fett fan, as we are going to get a lot of new material, a lot of new information about this character. And we're going to get to explore him in really fun and new ways, I think, via this series in particular. I would not be terribly surprised if there were flashbacks to Boba Fett as a young person growing up, developing parts of his past that we are not familiar with. Don't be surprised if we get some real revelations about the character in the Book of Boba Fett show. At least that's what I'm hopeful for. I'm hoping there'll be a bit of a dual timeline sort of situation where we kind of jump through his history while whatever's going on with his present as a potential crime lord on Tatooine. Really, really interesting stuff there. So I'm excited about that. So I think that's a great way for this show to start off, by making him part of the Clone Cadets, because he looks the same. He is a clone, but Boba Fett is so intrinsically different from them. He was raised directly by Jango. He's not been part of the program. He's not part of the training, the conditioning. He doesn't have the genetic modifiers that make him more obedient or more controllable. He doesn't have the aging process into him. He is unaltered, and because of his experiences, he says in the episode, they are not his brothers. He's not considering them to be his brothers. And it's all an interesting thing, a very interesting perspective for that character to have. And, we talked a little bit on the Bad Batch, and you have to wonder if at some point he changes his mentality on that. Will he be more of a friend to the clones at some point? I don't know. It doesn't seem that way, but it is something that I'd like to see continue to be explored more. Because I think it's a really big storyline. It has really big storyline possibilities to it. So why not go down those roads? I mean, they did those. They did that more in the novel series. The Karen Traviss novels in particular were really good at exploring that. But those have been pushed out into the Legends. So some new mythology, some new exploration. It's a possibility, right? Let's see what shakes loose. But one of the things I've noticed watching this episode, when the cadet cruiser links up with the Jedi ship, and the cadets are coming aboard, and they're seeing the full-grown, clone troopers, the troopers that they will one day be. There is this wonderful mix of just like awe and admiration in these cadets' faces. Boba Fett doesn't look at them at all. Doesn't look at them. Doesn't even glance in their direction. Eyes focused, scowl on his face. And I was curious, is it because he's not impressed? Or is it because if he looks at these clones, these adult clones, he just sees his father, and it angers him or it upsets him in some way? I'd like a bit more of an exploration of that at some point. And I think we do get to talk about it a little bit more because we got some more stuff with Boba coming up in the very, very near future. But it's something to consider, to mull over as we are doing our rewatch, because I'm trying not to get too far ahead before I do these episodes with you all. So it is possible that it's talked about in next week's episode or the show after, but it's something that is turning around in my brain right now as we get ready to spend more time with a very young, a very angry Boba Fett, but not the as we'll see in this episode, he's not the ruthless bounty hunter. He's not the ruthless mercenary that we kind of get to know in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi and all that other mythology. He's still sort of figuring out his way. He still is maybe a bit kinder to non-combatants than he should be. And I say non-combatants, that's not exactly the right word, but he's there to kill Mace. He's not really interested in killing the clones or the cadets. Because he doesn't have that killer mentality just yet. You're only beginning to see him get shaped into that. So it's really exciting. It's a really interesting part of this character. And again, I'm sure we'll be referencing back to this episode as we watch the final 2 of the season going forward. So here is when Anakin and Mace make their appearance to the cadets. Let's go ahead and check this scene out.
Morning, troops.
Welcome aboard the Jedi Cruiser Endurance. I am Mace Windu, and this is
Anakin Skywalker. Welcome aboard. Today, you'll see how a real working Jedi cruiser operates, and you'll have the chance to serve right alongside 2 Jedi Knights.
Introduction get cut short as Mace and Anakin are informed they have orders from General Kenobi coming up, so they have to depart from the cadets. But you get a great scowl from young Boba Fett as he sees Mace Windu, and then we get to hear Mace and Anakin kind of riff with each other. Good stuff here.
Wow! Yeah, the guy's gonna get training. No way! I heard he's gonna be the best.
You seem more disappointed than our cadets.
It's our job to instruct and inspire.
You just wanted to show off.
Hey, when I show off, it is instructive and inspiring.
For you, maybe.
What we get next is the cadets seeing more of the day-to-day operations of the ship. They're going to go and do some laser cannon training, and the first couple cadets, not so good on that one, until Boba Fett steps up to the plate, and Boba Fett delivers what we would call a dominating performance on the laser cannon, one that sends many of his fellow cadets oohing and awing at his ability to track those targets and quickly dispatch them without wasting very many shots. Obviously, the training that Jango gave him has come in quite handy, and he applies it when he can. Again, starting to see that character, that ruthlessness, that determination. It's all there. It just hasn't come to the surface yet, and he has to sort of kill the innocent part of him. You know, he's still a boy, but he has to get that killer instinct, and it's not there yet. It's not there yet, as we see with this episode. Eventually, he's going to he sneaks away. He contacts his team, and it's time to plant a bomb in Mace Windu's quarters. It'd be a really good way to end Mace Windu right then and there. And it's a pretty clever way he places it. Just right by the doorway, he'd be very unsuspecting. He trips the laser light. Boom! Explosion as soon as he enters the room. And Mace is about to enter the room when a clone trooper lets him know that he's needed elsewhere, and he can't go into his chambers. Unfortunately, this clone does go into his chambers to drop off something for Mace, and he gets exploded instead. And that puts the ship on high alert at this point. Now let's check out the scene where Anakin and Mace are surveying the damage to his bombed-out quarters.
You're lucky to be alive. And our trooper?
Dead.
This was no accident.
Agreed.
Keep moving.
Alright, quick scene, don't worry. So Boba Fett has snuck away once again to contact his team, who remains unseen at this point in the episode. And we are left, I think we are supposed to wonder just who it is he's working with at this point. But yeah, surprise, surprise, it's going to be some nefarious characters in the Star Wars prequel era. Let's check out the conversation.
Watcher, this is Boba. It's a miss. Repeat, miss. What should I do?
Head to the reactor. Blow the core.
But the crew. It isn't about them. Just Mace.
If you want Windu dead, do as I say.
We have a killer on board this ship, and we are locked in dead space.
Just like our assassin, we'll form an unbroken line of troopers and scour the ship from bow to stern, checking every corridor, bulkhead, and storage unit.
I want him alive.
All right, there you go. So we got Boba Fett and the Jedi attempting to put the squeeze onto this attempted assassin of Mace Windu. And now Boba Fett's being dispatched to the reactor room, blow the entire ship up, kill Mace Windu and everybody else, but at least you got Mace Windu, right? So again, the person he's working with, teaching him, shaping him, molding him into like this ruthless killer person that will help us, help make him more recognizable to us when we meet him up in Empire Strikes Back. But this is part of his journey, and it's very interesting to see this, and we're going to see this over the next few episodes, and more later in the series as well. We do spend a good chunk of time with young Boba Fett as he's sort of learning the ropes as a bounty hunter in the rough and tumble galaxy. I really like the scene in the reactor room. It's really, really great. I love the way that Boba Fett is attempting to sort of, oh, it's a mistake, I'm not supposed to be here, I'll just go back about my business. And the clone trooper on duty there just so casually allows him to take his blaster and to check it out, assuming that, like, oh, this clone cadet's all on the up and up. And again, why wouldn't he? But at the same time, you are still handing a child a blaster. Just keep the safety on. That's the only instructions. And Boba Fett, again, not the ruthless killer that we know, doesn't have that killer instinct. So he uses the weapon very bluntly to beat the clone trooper before he will eventually use a stun blast. But I love the scene. The clone trooper knocked to the ground after Boba Fett's trying to bludgeon him, and the helmet's been removed, and they look each other square in the face. Boba Fett, the scowl, the way the eyebrows furrow, the way the brow furrows, and he has that blaster held on the clone trooper, and their brief exchange here. So good. Let's check it out.
What are you doing? We're brothers. Don't shoot!
You're not my brother.
Don't shoot!
Don't worry.
CT-1477 reported. CT-1477, why have you broken off transmission?
And there's Boba Fett going around smashing the controls in the reactor, and that is going to put the Jedi cruiser in a bad, bad way, and basically kick us off in this excellent closing out trilogy for season 2 of the show. Big part of the show is what happens because of this event. And Boba basically, again, he triggers the reactor destruction. The ship is going to go down. It's unavoidable. And the crew has to abandon ship. Boba causes escape pod malfunctions. Anakin and Mace take off in their Jedi starfighters. The Jedi cruisers attempting to land on Vancouver, and Anakin and Mace have to go off to find the missing cadets. Now, that's a really compact way of putting things, because, again, the cadets are being filed out along with the troopers and the other personnel on the Jedi cruiser. Boba is in one of the pods with his fellow cadets. He causes their ship to malfunction so that they don't make it to the rendezvous point. He has to meet up with his people. And we get another lesson for Boba in the ruthlessness that it takes to be a bounty hunter in this galaxy far, far away. And this is where we also meet his partners for the episode. We meet Bosk and Aurra Sing, and it was thrilling. I really liked seeing Bosk in this episode. I think it's a really neat relationship to explore a little bit more fully, especially Boba at this age, because we know that he and Bosk have some sort of history and relationship when they meet up in Empire Strikes Back. And if you're reading War of the Bounty Hunters and those things, you know that they have done jobs together. They have, again, a relationship of some sort. And it's kind of nice to see that, in a sense, Bosk maybe has a bit of a mentor role in that dynamic, at least at this point. Boba eventually takes control of the gang. We know that, and we'll probably talk more about that at some point down the road when we begin to talk about the undeveloped episodes of Star Wars: The Clone Wars when it was canceled around season 6, because there was a big arc that Boba Fett was supposed to be a part of that got scrapped, but then later adopted into a novel. So yeah, we will explore some more of that, because it sort of is a pivotal part of Boba Fett. and we will definitely be talking about that. But yeah, let's go ahead and check it out as a very familiar ship also makes its debut in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. And I am, of course, talking about Slave One itself, a ship now rife with controversy around it. And, we haven't talked much on the podcast about the Slave One controversy, if Disney is now removing that name from the canon, if they're going to rename Boba Fett's ship. It seems that way. We don't have a lot of information about that just yet. There's nothing official about that. There's some mock-ups and some toy designs where it just refers to Boba Fett's fire spray, which is the class of ship that he flies. And, we will talk about that more at some point. I'm sort of just waiting for something official to actually talk about. Like right now, it's rumor and speculation. I can tell you that I'm not crazy about the idea of changing the name. I understand that Slave One is problematic in some senses, but slavery in the Star Wars galaxy is a real thing, and I don't think they should shy away from that. They should explore that more, and possibly what that name means to Boba Fett and to Jango, to his father. Like, give that name some meaning, and make it work. We'll see if that's what they're doing, if that's what they decide to do, or if they go another direction. We'll talk more about it fully at a later date. I just wanted to kind of put that out there for anyone who hasn't caught that news just yet. But yeah, let's go ahead and catch up with Bossk and Aurra Sing docking with the escape pod from what we will now refer to as Slave One, at least until they tell us to stop.
Well, what do we have here? You boys look lost. Congratulations, Boba. Job well done.
His name's not Boba. He's Lucky.
Lucky? That's a good one.
You're with her?
I wasn't expecting you to bring friends along.
I couldn't help it, Aurra. What are you gonna do with them?
What do you think?
Let them go?
They're living witnesses, honey.
That was never part of the plan. I just wanted to kill the Jedi that murdered my father.
Well, that will have to wait. Grow up. You'll get your revenge in time. Now get on board. We have to get out of here. Or you can go with your friends, who I'm going to jettison into the unknown. That would be poetic.
Here it is. Sorry. Boba makes his choice.
Traitor.
Do it!
You'll regret this!
And Boba is the one who hits the button, closing in the clone cadets back to the escape pod, and Slave One's gonna make its way away from the escape pod and leave those cadets out there to die, basically, or just to get rescued by Anakin and Mace a little bit later towards the end of the episode. But yeah, really exciting stuff there. I love that. I love the Aurra Sing character is one that I really like. They did a lot of fun stuff with her in the comic book series when Dark Horse was publishing those. And we will be talking more about Aurra Sing in the very, very near future, because she is one of those characters who has some fun mythology, and they even reference her in Solo. That's the character that Tobias Beckett, has killed apparently, because it's a fun scene. We'll talk about it later. But yeah, Aurra Sing, a character we do plan to explore more on another episode of the podcast. So yeah, we'll save that for now. But let's get to the closing moments of this episode. Again, Boba Fett makes the hard choice. He's going with Bossk. He's going with Aurra Sing. And he pushes the button. He condemns those cadets. He assumes he's condemning those cadets to death out there in the void. So Anakin and Mace have found the pod. They've marked it. They've sent the coordinates to the cadet leader, and they're going to go get picked up. But our clones do have a little final thought about the friend they thought was named Lucky, a.k.a. Boba Fett. Let's hear it up and wrap it up.
Jax, I'm sorry. I lost my head.
It's okay. I understand.
I can't believe it was one of us. Someone just like us. He's nothing like us.
Let's hope he is. If he is like us, he'll realize he's wrong.
And I feel like that'll be something we come back to in the very near future as we have 2 more fun-filled episodes to get into with these characters on this adventure, exploring young Boba Fett. And I'm really, really excited. I like this episode a lot. I think it's a really rock-solid start to exploring these characters more. This is 8 for me. I'm biased. I'm a Boba Fett fan. So give me that backstory. Give me that lore of the character. And yeah, let's make it happen. Because we are kicking off. Again, this is the beginning of the end for Season 2. Only a handful more of these until we get to Season 3 of Star Wars The Clone Wars. And I'm really excited to do that. And I'm so glad you are all on the journey with me. What else do I want to say about this episode? Gosh, it's just, again, it's just a really solid beginning of the exploration. Seeing Boba Fett be shaped into a character that we will know him as when he shows up in Return of the Jedi. And seeing that he's already spending time with very ruthless bounty hunters. Aura Singh and Bosk, they have very, very bad reputations. Aura Singh in particular, not a nice lady. All right? She's done some bad stuff. And again, we're going to talk more about Aura, I think, in the maybe next week's episode. So, yeah, we will be spending more time with Aura Singh very soon. Talk about her history, her origins, and a connection to Jango the Fett. It's not Jango the Fett. You know it's Jango Fett. It's just making sure you're paying attention. All right, but let's close out today. A really fast, action-paced episode. We didn't have to spend too long diving into too many aspects of it. Again, there's some interesting nuance there. Some of the subtle play with Boba and the other clones, the clones of his age bracket, the cadets. And then, again, his reaction to the other clones, to the adult clones. And the way he sort of looks at them, like the one in the reactor room in particular, after he stuns him and he sort of holds on that face that he knows so well, that face that belongs to his father. I think there's some real subtle emotional stuff going on there. And yeah, I want to continue to see that explored. And I want to get inside Boba Fett's head. Tell me what you're going through, buddy. Let's talk about it. Let's see what's going to happen until you get that armor put on. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to get to these next 2 episodes after this. And I hope you will stay on the journey with me. I hope you've been enjoying Star Wars The Clone Wars Rewatch Mondays. If you're a longtime listener of the show, I, of course, thank you so much, and I'm so glad you're here. And if you're a new listener to the show and you're just checking us out for the first time, I hope you've liked what you've heard. I hope you stick around because, we have a lot of fun on this podcast. And talking about Star Wars is always a great day. And that's what we want to do. We want to give more great days to more great people. And that's the name of the podcast. No, it's not. The name of the podcast is Mando Vision because my name is Tom, Our Guy Tom, and I thank you all so much for listening, sticking with me, and hopefully, just being rad friends of mine. Doesn't sound needy at all, Tom. Try, good Lord. All right. Again, thank you for supporting the small independent podcast like us. Remember, the best way to find us, support us, is on social media at Mando_Vision, Twitter and Instagram. Email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, and sharing the show with all the other Mandalorians in your covert. Recommend us to friends, family, loved ones, people who owe you money, people you're in life debts to, the whole shebang. If possible, so inclined, sweet 5-star reviews, the best way to help us spread the word about the podcast and what we're doing over here and not get lost in that podcast shuffle. And we thank you so much for doing that. Remember, I did say it at the beginning of the show, but just in case, if you are a Facebook person, we do have a Facebook page, so head on over there and give us a like. That would be super nice of you, and we thank you in advance for that. All right, but we're going to be getting out of here. Let's wrap this thing up. We'll be back on Friday with another... I'm not sure which episode we're going to do on Friday. Get ready. It's going to be a surprise for me, too. I had a couple of ideas, but I haven't narrowed it down to the one just yet. But we will have an episode on Friday for you all, and I hope you're having fun with some of the supplemental material that we're providing on Fridays as a way to sort of take our foot off the gas from having Bad Batch Fridays for 16 straight weeks. But in the meantime, you all do great things. Take care of each other. Be awesome. Be rad to others. Be rad Star Wars fans to other people. And yeah, things are going to work out just great for all of us if you do that. Right? Let's go home. Let's get out of here. You know the podcast can only end one way. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.